Alexander, and I'm with the Society of Our Lady of the Most Holy Trinity. Father Jim Blunt and I shared a suite during our novitiate 30 years ago, and mine was a different kind of walk. I won't go through everything, but just to give you some small hints. I was 22 and a half years between confessions. What does ever that tell you, okay? And I literally was a miraculous conversion in the fact that as I'm driving by this Catholic church in Naperville, Illinois, I feel this draw to go in, and I kept driving. And I kept driving, and it kept getting stronger and stronger. I finally had to go back in. There's 30 children having their first confession. And so I realized right there and then why the Lord brought me there. And so after the last child came out, I said, Father, can you do my confession? And he says, I've got to go to Awake. I says, well, it's been 22 and a half years since my last confession. And he taught me something as a priest, and he says, we better seize the moment. So he got me in the box, and it didn't take him long at all to determine he really didn't have time for this confession. And if you've ever seen Amadeus, that 3-hour movie, it's all about a confession. Well, that's about how long it was for my general confession before I got ordained. But anyway, why am I here? I was here in 1995. I was a seminarian at that time. And that's another story how it progressed to that. But I was in Rome and was about to start this workshop on church history. And we came in early, me and another seminarian, and while we're there, I says, hey, look how close we are to Medjugorje. What do you say we just go on over? And we did. Well, it was during the war. We got there, and no more buses that day. And I think we only had a few days. And so I said, okay, we took a taxi all the way up here. We got here about 12:30 in the morning. And I was expecting a hotel. There wasn't any. And he had been there the summer before. He says, I know where we can go. The former mayor, Dravanovich, if you've ever heard of him, that's who we stayed with. And I said, you go up and knock on the door. I don't want to knock on the door at 12:30 in the morning during the war. So anyway, the next morning, as I'm walking up the steps to St. James, I turned to him and I says, I just know I'm going to know somebody in there. And we opened the door, and it looked like it did on our first Mass here. It was so totally jammed. The only seat was in the very front row. You know why? Because we're all Catholics. We fill in the back row first. So during the Kiss of Peace, I turned around, and here's the daughter of one of the women in my prayer group in Kansas City. She had been there for 6 months. She was here, and she was leaving the next day. Her mother became my benefactress and paid for my entire seminary. I may not be a priest for that. Okay? Well, and that was the start of the graces, of course. So here's, 27, 28 years later, I'm being called back. And January 31st, God willing, will be my 25th anniversary as a priest. I got ordained at the age of 52. And this young deacon here is also going to be 52 when he gets ordained.
Yeah?
He's my inspiration.
Yes, thank you.
And he'll pray harder.
Yes, right. And I should be all of your inspiration for any of those that have done the crooked path that I did to get to where I'm at. But being that it'll be my anniversary. It's this year that's my Jubilee year. And so the grace is here. And when I saw that this, in fact, Father Scott Brossard, who was going to be one of the leaders, he's a dear friend of mine. He followed me into England where I was at for 10 years. And so he was up giving a talk this summer in July, and he was telling me about this. And so it put it on my mind. And then when I saw it was going to start on my 77th birthday, last Friday, I said, I guess I'm being called. And one of the thoughts occurred to me that Our Lady is saying, okay, now give me a report. What is this I hear? But it is. It's all about grace. And I'm here in total thanksgiving.
Oh.
Amen.
Amen.